The current divorce rate in the United States runs between 40 to 50% of first marriages. Second marriages, it's even worse, 60 to 70%. So what does this have to do with getting through life and managing in a family where divorce is such a common factor? Well, I'll tell you my story. My parents got divorced when I was 16. It was very, very traumatic. And yes, it's very common in this day and age. But for me, it was very traumatizing. My parents had gotten really and had an acrimonious relationship. They wouldn't even speak to each other. We had to have each other, the brothers and sisters rather, send messages to the father, to the mother, back and forth for us with us as kids. But these things leave scars. And you think about it, and it goes back to where I had to make some tough decisions along the way. So they go to court because it's going to be settled in court. And then my mom and dad were not even speaking to each other. So I remember walking down to the courthouse, sitting outside the courtroom with my mother, and my other brothers and sisters would not testify, but I would. I see my father walking down the hallway with his soon to be new wife, his secretary. And as they walk by me, the secretary looks at me and says, "Hello, fat boy." Never forgot it. And I actually don't think I was that heavy, to be honest with you. But that's the type of thing that happened. We go into court. I have to go up and pledge and hand on the Bible, testify that my mother was a good mother. My father said she needed to be put in an insane asylum. But that's what'll happen when things like that work out that way. I never, ever repaired the relationship with my father. From that day of testifying against him, because I didn't want my mother put away to a mental institution, left scars that really have never really healed completely. They may be healed, but they're still back there in the background somewhere, still saying, "Hi, I'm still here from time to time." But later it got even worse. As a part of the divorce settlement, I had to get them, my father was going to pay for my education at the University of Washington here in Seattle. So he paid for the first year of my school, everything to the fraternity that I was in, to the college tuition, and then, of course, the books and so forth. But every time I'd get a check from him each quarter, he'd make me feel terrible about, "Do you realize that Sylvia and I have to eat macaroni and cheese for dinner because we can't afford the better food, if you will, because we have to pay for your college?" So that happened for the first year. And so I went the first three quarters and put up with this nonsense when I come by to pick up the check. The start of the second year, 1969, I come by to get the check. His secretary says, "You can go see your dad now in his law office." I walk in and he gives me the check and he goes, "Here you go. But once again, we don't even have time we can't even go see a movie or anything because we're paying for your money, paying for your college tuition and your room and board at the fraternity." And I said, "You know what? I've had it." I took the check, ripped it into about 100 pieces, threw it at him, and said, "You will never pay another cent for me the rest of your life." I was 19 years old. I just had started my sophomore year at the U of W. I turned around, walked out of the room, hardly ever talked to him again. But I paid for the rest of my college myself. I got a job working at the university bookstore and made it through. And kind of the moral to the whole story, when you have to testify against your father or one of your parents, and then he makes me feel bad because I've got to take this money that which is part of the divorce settlement, is that guess what? I finished my degree. I got a degree in business administration at the U of W, and I paid for all the rest of that myself. And guess what? It happened to be, I appreciated that degree so much more because I had to pay for it. So yes, there can be a silver lining in a lot of gray clouds. Doesn't seem like it, but as I look back on it, not only am I not mad at him, but he kind of did me a favor because my appreciation level was so much higher. Something that I'll always really remember. Think about that when things happen to you later on, not always today, tomorrow, but down the road, you can see a silver lining. I'm the gratitude guy. Remember, be grateful and never quit.